This is Patrick with Top Tier Top Lane Guides, and real quickly, I want to excuse any possible clickbait in the headline. This is talking about how your teammates are a barrier to improvement, not a barrier to climbing. There's nothing that your teammates are doing necessarily to hold you back over the course of a span of games. A lot of people, way too many people think this. It's clearly just not true. What they are doing, however, is possibly teaching you how to play in a way that isn't necessarily ideal. And this is because, naturally, you're not perfect and neither are they. Certain plays they make are not going to work out the way a higher level player would make, and then you will get in the habit of playing around the plays that they make. And you need to do this to climb. But at the same time, you need to be able to adapt as you climb further, and you need to know what you're doing in your elo versus what you're doing, because that's just generally, to the furthest point, the correct thing to do. This idea came to me when I was seeking out coaching myself. I did this last week. I went out and paid for a few coaching sessions with some coaches just to see if I could learn anything for my own personal coaching. Now, I didn't tell these people that I was a coach. And frankly, I was a bit more combative than students probably should be. I was questioning them at every turn because I would differ on some ideas. And one of the things that really happened was I was in that classic, you're splitting and your teammates grouped, right? And this was mid diamonds. I dropped a bit. And I was just chilling in top or bot lane. I don't remember. My team was like mid. The enemy team had fair engage, and my team's doing that thing where they're mid, our outer turret's dead, they're throwing spells trying to poke, and the enemy team has, again, mid, okay engage. And the team is just like, yeah, all we do is poke. You know, I want to damage them. I want to do something. But I was too far back. I couldn't pressure. I couldn't draw right now. And my team had no business getting engaged upon. There was no real reason for me not to split, but I shouldn't have split, in my opinion, because I know that in mid diamonds, my reward is a little bit of gold and some pressure later. The risk is we lose the game. If this were Challenger, my team wouldn't engage. And the coach told me that what I did was the correct play. And I really questioned him on that, because I know that if I do this 100 times in mid-diamonds, then I'm going to get a total of 30,000 gold, maybe, let's say 300, and we're going to throw 50 games just because because I didn't group, and me grouping would have made the almost inevitable 5v5 that's just going to happen because it's low elo. That situation is going to occur way more often than it would in Challenger. So he says, oh, because Challenger players would have played around you better, that this was the correct play. I take a different approach. I say you need to know what to do in your elo, and obviously it's never like exact, like Silver's can do this, but you need to have a range of expectations to play around in your elo. And you need to know that what you're doing is only elo specific versus something that is always good. So I recommend giving people the benefit of the doubt, assuming that they're a little bit better than they are when you don't know. But you need to adapt to the elo you're in. Otherwise, you're going to be spam pinging your team, wondering why you can't pull off Challenger rotations in bronze. This can also lead to pride issues when you're not 100% sure if it's your team or you. It's a lot better to think of them more as RNG than people who are ruining your perfect macro, right? I think this is extremely relevant as a coach, and one of the most useful things that I can personally provide to my clients. And this is because when a client watches a VOD with me, and I tell him, hey, this was good, and he's like, what? I died. Or more realistically, here, let's use this as an example. A lot of people are very prideful, but they're also very, like, maybe the opposite. Maybe they're humble, and they want to acknowledge that what they did was terrible, and they think that they could do better, right? So they'll remember that game, even though I try to pick games that are a little from a couple days ago and randomly selected, so they aren't emotionally attached. But they might remember, and they'll be like, "Oh, this was terrible," and I'll tell them, "No, this was good." even in your elo, I think this was the correct play. Your team, based on like the risk reward of each scenario, grouping or not grouping in a lot of these cases, going for that engage, that type of thing, that this was the correct play. And that's something that I have to explain to my clients sometimes, that what you did was good, but it wouldn't be good against better players. That also goes for a lot of cheese strategies and stuff like that. So as a coach and other coaches, we're in a position to help out people a lot who don't know if what they did was good. And obviously we can't go through, can't always be watching them in game unless they want to hire us full time. But we can give them a general idea of what they are doing correctly and what they need to do differently. Because like I said, it is very easy to blame your teammates over and over and over again and not realize that it really is you. So this is sort of the opposite, and something that people don't talk about as much. Everyone likes to talk about not blaming your teammates, but sometimes you have to not get angry at them, but just logically say, okay, I did well. My teammates failed to execute, and based on whatever elo I'm in, they should have executed. And I consciously think this in at least one time every game I play. I'm thinking, well, based on whatever elo I'm in now, I could have done something differently, but I think my play was correct based off the likelihood of someone in my elo executing on that. So yeah, this is sort of a concept that is hard to reconcile with not blaming your teammates for a lot of people, but it's something that you need to realize is very important to improving, because you can't assume that every time you died, every time you didn't get the kill, every time you lost a team fight, that your general strategy was wrong, because then you're results oriented and you're going to improve a lot less quickly than somebody who thinks logically about what their allies could have done. If you died because your AD carry didn't heal and you would have won the fight, then you can spam ping your AD carry, piss him off, and not accomplish anything. But OPGG yourself. Are you in bronze 5? Well, then your AD carry probably was never going to heal, and that was a mistake, and flaming him is not only useless, but it's wrong. And if you're in master tier, you probably should at this point know how to or should know how to heal, and your AD carry may have DC'd or something like that. Again, no reason to flame him, but something that you should expect, and means that the play you made was correct. So that's all. Peace.